You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Good evening and welcome to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, the Variety Show. I am your host and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I am a certified life, career, yoga, and meditation coach. Welcome Business Talk Radio and welcome social media. We are so thrilled to have you here with us today. And we couldn't do the Variety Show without my co-host, Lori Mendelsohn, who is killing it over at Clubhouse. Welcome, Lori. It's good to see you.
Hi, Dr. Jacalyn. It's so good to be here again. Thank you.
We always have so much fun, and you bring us the best guests.
Thank you. Thank you. I try. I have a good tribe of people around me.
Well, that's because you are a good person, and all of your light and energy just is glowing off of the screen today. So before we bring your guest out, why don't you tell us a little bit, Lori, about what you do and the value that you bring to this world?
Yes, I would love to, Dr. Jacalyn. So thank you. So my name is Lori Mendelsohn, and I am a dating coach and a professional matchmaker in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area. And I help people find love. But before I help them find love, I help them find themselves. And we fine-tune details about their life that they've struggled with and what they're working on, what they need to work on to get them ready to find love.
Wonderful. Tell us about what you're doing over at Clubhouse, the latest and greatest social platform that we are not paid sponsors for, by the way.
Dr. Jacalyn, I have to say that this Clubhouse is blowing up. I am meeting so many new people, collaborating with so many, and getting a lot of good guests on the show that I host every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. It's called Single Over 50. It's an inside job. And every week I'm meeting experts in their fields. Next week, we're going to be doing Ask the Sexperts. It's going to be all about sex over 50. And now people are asking me to moderate. I got a ping this morning at 5 a.m. Hey, Lori, can you come in and be a speaker in the room? So I've been on Clubhouse today since about 5 a.m. So it is just a world of endless possibilities and connections. And actually, even personal things are happening for me on Clubhouse, which is a nice surprise. So,
oh my, well, guess what? We're going to have you on the Thursday at 4 p.m. show. It's all about dating, to hear about what's going on with you there. So I love something you just said about connections. That's something that I really love. I love when two people are on the show and they connect, and it's not just about LinkedIn or Clubhouse. They actually find ways to collaborate. So I am thrilled to bring your guest, Julie Feldman, on because I want to collaborate with this woman. Let's bring her out here. Hi, Julie.
Hello, everybody. Great to see you on cyberspace.
Yes. Welcome. Julie, you certainly have an incredible and distinguished background as a reporter and as an anchor and as a business owner. How did your journey start?
My journey started with my first job out of college, and that was as an anchor and a reporter in a small town, Rockford, Illinois, at WITI-TV. And from there, I made the jumps that people usually do. Although, mind you, this was back in a time when there were very few women on television. In fact, I was on a Zoom with a number of people from some 20 years ago, from when we were working in Nashville. And one of the gentlemen at the end of the conversation said, "I just want to let you gals know on this Zoom that you really paved the way for a lot of people, because very few women were reporting on the air about really serious matters back then." This was the early 80s. And when he brought it up, I thought, yeah, I guess that was us. But I was so busy doing and being that I didn't think about it. So that led me to many years of reporting and anchoring and being a local, national, international health reporter. And then I went from there to show on Lifetime TV that aired weekly, and it was a health show. I would always tell people, I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV. Don't go to your doctor. Don't come to me. And then from there, I was traveling around the country a lot, and I had a teenager at home, and so I decided to start my own business. And it's video production. Really, people say it started out as video production. When people say, "What do you do now?" I tell them I'm a storyteller. I tell stories on all mediums. Video production, sometimes people want a video and they want me to write an article for a magazine about it. Perhaps it's video and it's a script that goes with it for the big event. Anything that you can think of, I've written websites. It all comes back to the same thing, which is storytelling. And I was on a board for many years at my alma mater, University of Wisconsin-Madison, for the School of Journalism and Mass Communication. And when we would talk to some of the kids who were studying journalism, I remember once, I always said this, and so did a gentleman who's now at the Wall Street Journal. He said, there is an anatomy to a good story and good storytelling. It's not just getting out a camera and having somebody regurgitate the minutes of the last garden party or the last garden club. It's really finding the ebbs and flows of that story and finding your value and bringing it out and magnifying it and presenting it in a way that will educate, that will engage people, that will inspire them and then motivate them to action. Dr. Jacalyn, you were just telling me about a story when you first shared your story, and you really inspired people. It was scary for you, you said, but you inspired people by opening up and actually motivating them to be a better self, to really take a good look at themselves and how they were living with the condition you had mentioned.
Yes, I did. And it was liberating. And I know that that's what we want for everyone, to feel comfortable in your own skin so that you can share your own story, right?
I'm kind of laughing because I just realized when you guys came on, I'm a bit of a talker, aren't I?
You have something powerful to say. So
you give me a question and I can talk forever, but sometimes you just have to cut me off. So Dr. Jacalyn, Lori, just cut me off when you're ready.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Show's over.
That's right.
My dog just got up.
A question that I have, and Laura, I don't want to jump in front of you, but it popped in my head, so I will. Being a reporter and being an anchor, I would think to the general public, it's very glamorous. It's, oh my gosh, look at her. Look what she's doing. She's interviewing this person. It's got to be a lot of hard work, right?
It's a lot of hard work and it's not always glamorous. I will tell you that I've had some incredible experiences that I thank my lucky stars for every single day. It's part of what makes me, from interviewing movie stars and presidents to interviewing everyday people that had a big impact on me. From in Miami, interviewing some of the Haitian residents when their country overthrew a dictator, to interviewing the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer, their families.
Oh my gosh.
To interviewing presidents and movie stars. And it's just been a very rich life. Not to say that I didn't have to give up a lot to be able to do that, not only in my personal life, but also give up a lot as far as being comfortable with myself publicly. It took me a while to realize when people walk up to you after you've been sweating at the gym and you look just horrible and they run up to you and say, I'm so excited to meet you. And I'd sort of hide, There was a gal who looked sort of like me where I worked and they said, oh, Julie Feldman. And I was so embarrassed. I said, no, I'm so-and-so. And it was the other person, just because I didn't want them to think it was me, right? I think I just told you a story before we came on the air about how when I was going live in many of these places, I didn't have any place to look in a mirror. So I would find a car that had a reflection in it in the window, and that would be my mirror. And that's how I would comb my hair and take care of things. So it's not all glamour. And I really, by the middle of my career, I appreciated in such a different way the people that were watching. I appreciated them as part of my family. And that coincided with a big change in my career, in which I went from general assignment reporting to health reporting, because I woke up with a purpose. I was filling in for somebody who was having a baby. who was a health reporter. And I said, yeah, I can do this for a few months. And I found that I could actually do something to offer people a better life. I could help them find solutions to health problems that had plagued them, life and death problems to everyday problems. And it gave me a different purpose when I woke up and went to work. Not to say that the general assignment reporters, that the anchors, that all the other people who are in a newsroom making it tick aren't important. Every single person is important, and they all play a role. But personally, this gave me a purpose, and it helped me to see that every single person I was talking to behind the camera was a real human being with problems and issues and joys and challenges, just like me. They just didn't see those joys and challenges with me because I was out there too busy being, hello, I'm Julie Feldman. But I saw them as real people. And I began to see that earlier. For instance, when I was covering the Dahmer trial and covering the families of victims, I just met some incredible people who just maybe they were afraid that one of their children was a victim, and they just wanted, they were God-fearing people who woke up in the morning and just wanted their children to make it home from school in one piece. And I went home and I just thought, there, but for the grace of God, go I. How lucky am I to be able to come home to a safe place where I don't have to worry about that.
So profound.
It really, there were some very profound moments and some crazy moments and some funny moments and some scary moments, really scary moments that together really left me with a rich history. But the business was changing and I was changing and my needs were changing. So.
And just look at you now, your own.
Now, that's right. Julie, I have to tell you, I'm absolutely fascinated by the way that you speak, the way that you slow your words down and your voice gets lower. And people are going, yes.
Oh,
yes.
That's interesting because really when I'm speaking to friends at a dinner table, they'll say, Julie, your voice trails off at the end. Could you speak louder? Why are you mumbling? Oh, how many times did I hear? Why are you mumbling, Julie? Stop mumbling. But when I'm storytelling, whether I'm listening to somebody else's story or my own, I don't know. I get into a different headspace, you know? I love telling stories. And that's what I'm doing with you right now. It's fun for me. It's really, and being able to tell other people's stories is such a joy. I just finished a video for a nonprofit. Can we mention the nonprofit? It's for United Negro College Fund. Is that okay? And it hasn't even been presented yet. I interviewed a woman who went to an HBCU, a historically Black college and university. She's all grown up now, living in the community where I live. She's a stalwart citizen. She's on all these boards, every board you can imagine that does good things. She had a really cool job. She's very involved with politics. But when she was telling me her story, I was riveted. She sat down and very comfortable in herself. And she came from a small town in the South. And I asked her to take the picture of her mom and dad off the wall and hold it in her lap while she was telling me the story because they meant so much to her. She grew up in a small Southern town. I'm not going to give the whole story away because we want this to be a surprise, right? The folks who are watching it. And she would pick cotton in the fields. And this is in the 60s. Remember the book? Oh, I forgot the name of it. The Help.
Yes.
Those days. And she would tell the story. Oh, was she a storyteller? And she'd say, we'd be out in those fields and every day my daddy would come in. We had 11 children. I think it was 11 children. Every day he'd come in from those fields and it'd be dark and mom would be cooking and we'd be around the table and he'd say, I don't care what I have to do. You kids are going to have an education. It was just something that was going to happen. And she told the story about when she was accepted to a historically Black college or university. And she said, my auntie was driving down the road. I was out in the field working. My auntie was driving around and you could hear the gravel popping under the tires. And she gets out of the car and she says, "You've been accepted to this university. Your life is going to change." And I just got goosebumps.
I just got chills with this.
And her life did change. And what she shared with us and putting it in perspective. And I was on all of these sites like the Library of Congress to find pictures from the 60s when Martin Luther King spoke, and putting it all in perspective and pictures from her childhood. And it was such a joy to put this together and be a part of it. And I can't thank her enough for sharing that part of her life with me. And hopefully it will encourage a lot of people to give to United Negro College Fund later this month, because they will think what happened to her could happen to my daughter, my son, my niece, my nephew, my grandson, my grandchild, my neighbor's child, my friend's child. They could have the same kind of life that she has if I support this group. So to be able to be that connector is part of that purpose I was talking about when I started health reporting. And I got a call that first week when I thought, oh, I'll fill in, right? And I did a story about how to do a breast self-exam. And I didn't take my clothes off, but I said, this is what you do, blah, blah, blah. And I got it was actually a letter from somebody who said, I saw your report. I did it when I was in the shower. I went to the doctor. I found a lump. They found my cancer early and say that I can beat it. You saved my life. And I thought, I didn't save her life. She saved her life. I was just fortunate enough and blessed enough to be in a position where I could give her information that would be helpful, useful, that would help her with her life, whether it's her or somebody else she loves. You know, as a storyteller, that is really helping people find value and things that will help them make their lives better. And when I said, you know, we were talking earlier, everybody has a story of value, even if it's a product you're selling, which is a widget. But that widget goes into a plane that keeps the plane flying, and that plane has my grandson in it who's coming to land to visit for me for a week. And he gets there and we're going to have a great week together. It got him here safe and sound. So that widget is important to me and has value. And you tell me to tell a story about that widget and have at it. I can do it.
Julie,
right.
Can we continue this right after the commercial break?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Cut it off.
We'll be right back. Stay with us with Lori Mendelsohn and Julie Feldman here on Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, live on Business Talk Radio and social media.
Have you just lost your job or have been laid off and you are looking to transition to a new job or career? Maybe you have even tried submitting tons of applications and yet you keep getting turned down for jobs you qualify for. Don't wait until you become overwhelmed with rejections when you can easily transition or get your dream job. Let MJW Careers guide you to the right career path and a better, brighter future. At MJW Careers, we know what hiring managers are looking for, and our goal is to land you the job you deserve. What makes MJW Careers a wonderful provider over other services is our pragmatic and scientific approach to resume writing. There are rules, there are visual cues, there are content best practices. We understand those and work within the boundaries to ensure our clients' messaging appeals to the decision makers. Our career consultants will help you transition into new roles quickly and effectively. With our experience in virtually every industry, we will provide direction in the frustrating job market by helping you write a customized, professional resume and prepare you for your interview as well. Join the great number of people we have helped scale up to greater things in their careers. Let us help you on your career journey. Come visit us, www.jobstickers.com, to learn more and grab a free resume review or ebook.
Located at 121 Haddon Avenue in Westmont, New Jersey, is Margie Cedrone, artisan jeweler. Margie's been in business for more than 30 years. She works with her clients to create custom pieces of jewelry to reflect their personality and help them make their own bold statement. Starting in the renowned Jewelers Row in Center City, Philadelphia in 1988, Margie works directly with her clients to develop one-of-a-kind pieces such as necklaces, engagement rings, wedding bands, unique watches and tennis bracelets, as well as a myriad of rings and earrings for everyone in your family. She also has worked directly with Dr. Jacalyn over the years, creating unique pieces of jewelry to reflect her personality. She does pearl stringing and repairs on site at 121 Haddon Avenue. Call or text Margie at 215-384-7155. Margie Sajone Jewelry is open by appointment only. Make your own bold statement.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Caruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Abella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Abella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Abella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hey, we're back. That's great news because we have so much more to hear from Julie Feldman. I'm Dr. Jacalyn. I'm here with my co-host, Lori Mendelsohn, and we are so excited to have Julie, former reporter, anchor, and now business owner with us today. Thank you, Julie.
Oh, my pleasure, Dr. J. Can I call you Dr. J? Oh, there are a few people named Dr. J. Lori.
Oh, that's great. So,
Yeah.
Julie, you've had to reinvent yourself, and many of us have had to reinvent ourselves in our 50s. How did you go about that, and what did that feel like to you?
Oh, I'm still reinventing myself, Lori, every day, aren't you?
You always are, yes.
I mean, if you really get down to it, every day we're reinventing or trying to find our relevance in a changing framework of what business is and what life is, correct? Because through life, our needs change, our purpose changes, our focus changes. I'm sure you found that too, Dr. Jacalyn, haven't you?
I've changed and changed and changed. In the last year, my life is completely different.
Would you not say that reinventing yourself is scary?
It's scary, but when you find your passion, it's so much fun. It's so exciting.
That's true. That's absolutely true. So when I started business, I'd never been a businesswoman. I'd been a creative, and I still consider myself a creative first. So this was a big, strange world for me. Not only being a businesswoman and the dollars and cents and making a business work and run, but also how to conduct myself in business meetings. I'd never sat in business meetings before. I had never had to sell anything before except sell myself to whoever I wanted to interview that day to get them to make time and find the courage to be on TV. I guess that's selling. But I had never had to do any of that. I really found I had to pull myself back. I had to pull part of my personality back and let others shine. I was always able to do that with folks when I'm letting them tell their story, because they are the story. And when I was telling a story as a reporter and anchor, the story was never about me. It was about somebody else. But when I walked in a room, I was ready to get everybody's attention so they'd watch that story. I was ready to get everybody's attention so that they would follow me through that evening when I'm speaking. And I really had to learn not to be that person on TV, not to be that person in front of 1,000 folks in person, but to just be Julie. And people might argue when I say this with me, but when you're really good at what you do on television, you are just yourself. It's true in whatever you do. If you can just be you, if you can get in touch with yourself, feel comfortable in your own skin, you're going to set the world on fire. But for a long time in my career, I was Julie on TV. I'd get out there and that light would go on and I was, hello, how are you? Good to see you this evening. And I really had to get in touch with this part of me and get in touch with the fact that when I walked into a room, I didn't have to command the attention of everybody. I'm still working on that, ladies, as you can tell.
That was a great share. I really appreciate that. I know when I started in August, I'd be like, hello and welcome. And my partner said, what are you doing? Why are you using some other weird voice? It's like,
was Walter Cronkite channeling for you, Dr. Jacalyn?
When I was very young, I was having dinner with my cousin. He was older and wiser. And he said, Julie, what you do isn't who you are. What you do isn't who you are. And because my whole world revolved around my job. And he was right. What I did wasn't who I was. But if I really wanted to make it work for me, I had to make my job part of who I wanted to be. In other words, finding that thing of giving back, finding that element of real purpose changed everything. It changed everything. It changed my whole life. So it's interesting. Yeah, we're not, hello, how are you? We're, you know.
Hello. Hello. Hello, darling. How are you doing?
So, Julie, tell us about your very first client that you got with Feldman Media. How did you get them? Are they still with you?
No, because I found that when you're dealing with video, people change, things change. A corporation, this was many years ago, a corporation sold.
Why do you keep zooming it up?
Why do I keep taking Lori up instead of Julie?
What did you say?
I had spotlighted Lori.
My very first client, well, it was a group, it was a corporation out of Ohio. And it was somebody who I had been dealing with when I was on the show on Lifetime TV. And they had a health program with Dr. Oz's partner, Dr. Rosine. They were putting together a health program for their major corporation for 60,000 employees worldwide. And so I put together a video for them. And it was very often a video, it will be a one-off. It will be a one-off experience because back then we didn't have to keep feeding the beast online. Right? Today we keep feeding the beast. You finish with one video, you got another video. And videos back then are very different from videos right now. In fact, I've really changed every year. I take a look at what I'm doing and I decide what can I do to add value to what I'm doing. And about a year and a half ago, I decided with the changes in video and what people need, I'm going to create something called video intelligence. So very few people need a 4-minute video, 5-6 minute video. When they tell me that, I always say, okay, we can do that for you, but let's really talk about where this is going to be and what will capture most people's attention. If it's a live event, let's do a 3-4 minute video. Give me the people to interview that are going to be that compelling with a great story and we can keep everybody's attention. But then let's do this intelligently. Let's plan because you're going to want this content for other things. So let's shoot it and put it together in a way in which we can pluck pieces out of that bigger video to use on different media platforms that will be timed for optimum engagement, viewer engagement on different platforms. For instance, on your website, I would say 90 seconds to 2 minutes at the longest. For Facebook, don't go over 60 seconds. For Instagram, 30 seconds. For TikTok, 15 seconds. So very often now, when I have clients, I will create, for instance, video. Right now I'm doing a set of a dozen videos for a client at different places. It's a senior living community group, and they have a number of senior living communities around the state, Wisconsin. And so for each community, I'm doing a video that is 1 minute and 30 seconds for their website, 1 minute for Facebook, and between 30 seconds and 40 seconds for Instagram, and a 30-second or less for emails and for other purposes. I've even taken, with one international client, I took some video from an infomercial they had. I couldn't sleep one night, and I saw this infomercial, and I thought, there's some good stories in here, believe it or not. And I created 6 videos out of stuff from their infomercial. I repurposed it into 6 30-second videos that could be content that they could use for a Google pay-per-click campaign that was timed exactly for something that was going on in the world at that time.
Wow.
You asked me about my first client. Well, so my first client was one client, and I do have clients that I've worked for over the years that I've enjoyed it. But very often, if you think about like the healthcare industry, one of the another client that I had right out of the gate was a major healthcare provider, and I was the first person to ever put together physician videos for them, like biographies. I call them a virtual handshake. And they were bought and sold. And when they're bought and sold, very often the headquarters is someplace else, and then they find other folks to do these things. So you're constantly looking for new clients, but I love to keep the old clients. There's a client I have in Chicago right now. I love working with them. I look forward to seeing them each month. And I have another client with a nonprofit. It's a women's organization that supports women who are in commercial real estate. Every year I put together videos for their fundraiser, and they've asked me to host the fundraiser now to MC it. And I miss them so much that after 2 years ago, after the event, I said, I can't wait to see you till next year. I mean, what are we going to do about this? So every month we were going out and meeting someplace for a drink and dinner. It was fun. It was fun. And isn't that a joy when you can work and make wonderful friends too?
Yes. Yes. Without question. Those are the benefits of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Yeah. The relationships that you build. So Julie, you've lived all over the country. Why don't you tell us where you've lived and if you'd like to share your experience in those cities?
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. So I moved to Rockford for my first job. And that was interesting. The first night on the air, I was so nervous. Oh my goodness gracious. I didn't know that the red light meant you're on. And my very best friend of some 40 years who lives here where I am now, and I'm not in Rockford, she was the weather person. And back then we had the magnets we'd put on the wall with the high front and the sunshine. It was my first night on the air. It was her first night on the air. They said, Julie, you're on, talk. Good evening, I'm Julie Feldman. To this day, her husband, who was her boyfriend at the time, calls me Flood. And she said, oh, the winds were so high, 6 cars got hurt. No, that's not. Anyway, that was Rockford. I moved to Nashville, Tennessee. Wow, what an experience. So much fun. Most of the folks in the newsroom were in their 20s and having a ball in a town like Nashville. What a town. And that's when the country music industry was not nearly as slick as it is today, but they still had great people from Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings. I'm just trying to think of Reba McEntire had just started at the time. And that drove a lot of business in Nashville at the time. But there was also, it was living in the South at the time in the 80s. And I found that I was covering stories like the Ku Klux Klan. One Sunday morning, they sent me out to cover the Klan, a Klan rally. And they sent me with a photographer who happened to be African American. And I happened to be Jewish. Can you imagine a better crew to send out to cover the Klan?
Oy, such a combo.
There were no cell phones back then, and we were in a small town. So we're sitting on the side of the road waiting to see what would happen, because these folks were told if they started soliciting for members on the side of the road as they had before, they'd be arrested. So the Great Titan, which is one step below the wizard in the hierarchy of the Klan, was out there wrapping a cloth around a cross. And we had been waiting for a couple hours, and we were getting really itchy and nervous because a lot of cars now were pulling off to the side of the road and waiting for things to happen. So I got out of the car and I walked up to the Great Titan and I said, "Hello, what's going on?" And he said, "What's going on with you? Why aren't you in church, young lady?" And I said, "Because I'm working. What's your excuse?" And he said, "Oh, well, we're working I'm going to work the crowd. I'm going to work the crowd. So what's your name?" "Julie." "Julie what?" Just Julie. I'm from," and I told him what station I was from. And he said, "Ah." I said, "So what are you doing?" "Well, we're fixing to burn a cross." And he said, "Do you want to get pictures of it?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I'm just waiting to see what's going to happen." "Well, we're going to be soliciting later." "Okay. All right. And that's what you're here for?" I said, "No," but he knew it was. And so he whistled and he said, "Come on, put on your hoods. We're going to start soliciting." Well, I realized that I had just created a story by telling what we were looking for. And I learned a lesson from that. We got 20 arrests and we had a story. But that was memorable. Boy, was that memorable. And I remember, there was a good old boy network back then. And the sheriff, Fate Thomas, was helping them open a new jailhouse, and they wanted to raise money for it. So they brought Waylon and William to play at the Jailhouse Rock. And I remember Willie and Waylon were sitting next to each other, and I was interviewing them, and they kept putting their hands in their pockets and going like this. And I thought, oh, do they have an itchy nose? What's going on? I was very naive. I didn't realize what was happening. Do you understand what was happening? Yeah. So there was something in their pocket.
Let's pause this thought because we have to go to commercial break again, but we want to hear what happened with the itching.
They were itching noses.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry to do that. We'll just run to a quick break and we'll be right back. Hello, I'm Dr. Jacalyn. Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You. And here to tell us more is the creator of A Better You, Al Cini. Al, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. It's always a pleasure working with you and everyone out there. You might be a coach working with individuals professionally or personally, or you might be a consultant working with businesses, or you might be a trusted advisor specializing in an area like finance, let's say, or the law or healthcare. Whatever of those roles you relate to, you all have one thing in common, and that is you're working every day to help people become better versions of themselves, a better you. And Dr. Jacalyn's A Better You program is an opportunity for you to express your expertise in a particular area for 15 minutes in front of an audience of people who are looking for help from people like you. Yep. So, Dr. Jacalyn, maybe you can tell everybody how they can learn more about this.
It's so easy. You go to abetteryou.tv and you sign up to book your session.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hi, and welcome back to the Variety Show here on Business Talk Radio and social media. I am your host of Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, and my co-host is Lori Mendelsohn, and our guest, Julie Feldman. And Julie, you were at a pivotal point in the story when we had to take a break. So let's go back to you. Over to you, Julie.
Well, we were talking about when I was covering stories in Nashville, Tennessee. This was back in the day. And you know what? I think most people, they'll get when somebody goes like this, what they're doing with their hand in their pocket. If they don't, I'm not going to go there. It has something to do with what will make you feel good, if that's your bag. But anyway, you know, ladies, I've been thinking about our conversation. And Dr. Jacalyn, I was listening to your ad just on just now about a better you. And I'd really like to discuss something that people can walk away with through our conversation. It's fun to tell these stories. It really is, taking a trip, and I have many more. But about Miami was really crazy. But I am a storyteller. I help people tell their stories. That's my business now, Feldman Media. And I'd like to help folks find ways in which they can start to think about telling their own story, whether it's for business, whether it's personally, whether you're going on a date because my friend Lori Mendelsohn has set you up, or whether you want to make a video about your company, whether you're going to talk to a group of people about your company. It's all storytelling. And there's an art to it. And I'd love it if you and I talked a little bit about how people can delve into telling their best story when they're not here and they're out in the public.
I'm captivated.
You're captivated. I mean, so many times when people say, what do you do? And do you know what to say? You know what to say? I know you do, Lori. I know you do, Dr. Jacalyn, but most people don't, right?
Right.
And really, I think that if you want to tell your best story, whether you're on a date, whether you're at a table with your husband or wife and you're making talk with folks, whether you're doing a video, whether you're somebody who's interviewing you, you've got to find your value. You've got to find your value here. That's what's interesting about you. That's when people will say, I want to hear more. And they'll lean in a little bit to find out what it is about you that makes you tick. What is it about you that you care about most? Most people will say, I care about my kids. I care about the city I live in. But what keeps them up at night that they want to see have different? Do you understand what I'm saying? I remember covering, when I was covering the Dahmer trial, and they sent me out to interview one of the victims' family members. What are you doing? Oh, you don't know who to take there. And this dear lady, her brother had been one of the victims. And she was sure of it. She was just sure of it. And he was listed as a missing person. And she went to the police department over and over and said, my brother's missing. What is going on with this case? And when the police went to tell her they found his body, they sent me to go interview her. I got there the authorities were still there. So I saw them walking out and I said to the photographer, let's sit here for a while in the car. I'm not walking up there right now. And they wanted the story right away, right? Get out of the car, go do that. But I said, yeah, we're having trouble with the address. I forgot what I said. I told them we'll get it when we get it. And I just didn't feel I could walk in on their privacy at that point. So I gave them some time. I walked up to the door. We had met before and she invited me in. I walked up without a camera because I wanted her to know she can tell her story to me. I don't have to have a camera. And knowing that she'd be more comfortable and she'd invite me in with the camera. And we set up the camera, all kinds of family all around, right down to the little nieces and nephews. And I said, what's happening? What's happening? And she told me. And what is the question everybody always asks? How do you feel? I wasn't going to do that. And what good was that going to do me? We all knew how she felt. She felt horrible. She was devastated. So I said, how are you doing? She said, I don't sleep well at night. And I said, what are you thinking about when you can't sleep at night? What thoughts are going through your head? And she said, I've gone into the police department year after year for 2 years straight. And the last time we went in and I said, where's the case? They brought it out to me and it said file closed. We're a minority. And they didn't follow through on this because we're a minority. But my brother was a victim. That was the story. And it came from not saying, how do you feel, or having her answer a question that anybody would answer when they say, what's important to you? You got to really take the time to think about what drives your thoughts. When you make a product, what is it that you really want to have happen with that product when somebody has it? How will it really affect them? Put yourself in their shoes. How will this affect their life? That's where you find your value. That's where you find the value in the story, by thinking a little bit deeper about what keeps you up at night or what brings you the most joy. Well, we know that your children bring you joy, but when was the last time you cried because your child did something that made you so happy? When was the last time that there was a moment that caught your breath, that gave you tingles? Think about those moments. Those are the moments where you'll find your value. And when you find your value, that's your story. It's nobody else's story. It's all yours. That's the story that we want you to help you tell. That's a story I help you tell. And sometimes people haven't thought through it. And so I just sit with them and talk until we find it. You know, that is finding your true value and your true story. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
It's an excellent story. I love it. Julie, where can people find you? How can people connect with you?
FeldmanMedia.com. FeldmanMedia.com. And I'm giving you my personal email, jftv@yahoo.com. You can also contact me at julie@feldmanmedia.com. But go to jftv@yahoo.com. Email me. Tell me what it is that you're trying to say, and we'll find a beautiful way of saying it. We can Zoom together, and I will put my screen up and show you examples of how other people have communicated whom I've worked with. And you can figure out what best way to tell your story. We can do animated graphics and cartoons or real life situations and video. And what I really want to do is find the best way to show your value. I did one video that won a couple of national awards, and I had so much fun doing it. It was for United Performing Arts Fund. And they wanted me to come in and interview a number of people. And I said, well, what do you do? Well, we are an organization that supports actors, actresses, singers, dancers in the area so they can perform. So it's the ballet, it's the symphony, it's small theater groups, it's larger theater groups, it's theater groups for children. And so we ended up contracting with Sony and with BMI and got a song everybody knows, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And I had each and every different group, their premier groups, come And I said, here's your part of the song. Act it out, sing it out, dance it out any way you want. And we put it together. And it was, and the symphony actually, we only had 3 minutes. So the symphony actually created a score that would last no more than 3 minutes. That's all legally we could do. And came in on their own time and played it about 10 times so that we could get it from every angle. It was such a joy. And it raised $24 million over 2 years. It helped to raise a lot of money for the organization as their feature video. So we'll find just the right way to express your value.
I think your email box is going to be blowing up. I think
Your mouth to God's ears, Jacalyn, as we say, as us Hebrews say.
It just, you know what? It just makes me happy to meet people and find out what makes them tick, and then to put together something that really sings their praises, sings their value.
Yeah,
that's what I enjoy doing.
Julie, do you work with people regardless of where they are?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yes. I've done things locally. I go down to Chicago regularly, so that's all Midwest. I've been out east. I've been down south. So yeah, I've been everywhere. You know, right now it's a bit of a challenge with COVID, and we are still out videotaping, but we take all precautions. But right now I'm not going to get on a plane. So you know, if we can drive to you right now, great. We will get on a plane if you know, if the situation warrants and we need to, and people are getting vaccinated now, I'd be more comfortable. A lot of people in my industry are on planes all the time and traveling. And I can do that, but I wanted to wait until most people were vaccinated and things were a little safer.
Smart.
Because I'm just that way.
No, that's smart. It's very smart.
How has COVID affected your businesses?
Lori, do you want to go first?
Well, matchmaking is completely shut down. So I've switched over to dating coaching, which is all done by Zoom or phone. The thing about matchmaking is I can't go out and meet people, even though I've been double vaccinated, but I can't see what people look like with, you know, this much is showing.
Right.
So it has affected it drastically. My feeling is when we can go out again, and hopefully President Biden's prediction of July 4th will come true, I think it's going to be crazy, crazy, crazy busy.
It's going to be like the Roaring 20s. I predict that when things really are on the level, it's going to be like the Roaring 20s, and we're in the 20s. So I just think people are going to go a little bit nuts, and I'm going to be one of them. How about you, Dr. Jacalyn?
Well, so as I mentioned, I was in the corporate world for my entire career. So when I retired last year, then the pandemic hit. And so I had been coaching clients on the side of my job. And so those clients, you know, they couldn't afford to pay. So I was coaching for free. And then I got my yoga certification, and I was teaching yoga for free, teaching meditation for free. But things are starting to come back. But I spend most of my energy on my platform. So I'm really busy with our shows, and a lot of our shows are booked out through July. And then
my gosh.
Yeah. And then I'm building
to you. You know, I'd love to hear your story about how you transitioned from the corporate world. First of all, why you transitioned from the corporate world, and then how you did it, and the challenges you had. I didn't get into a lot of the challenges I had, which is for another day, but I'd love to hear about your challenges and how you overcame those challenges.
Well, guess what? It's all in my new book that's coming out at the end of the month, hopefully March 26th. That's exactly what the book is about.
Folks. That was not planned.
It wasn't planned. No, but I'd love to do a lot of interviews where people are interviewing me about my book. So, Julie, I wanted to ask you that. How do you feel being on the other side of the microphone? Do you prefer doing the interviewing or being interviewed?
I am comfortable on both sides. Like I said, I really got much better at what I was doing when I was on television, when I got comfortable in my own skin, right? And when you're comfortable in your own skin, you're natural in front of a camera. And so when you said you wanted to interview me, I really thought today was going to be a conversation. I feel like I've dominated that conversation. My apologies.
No,
But-
that's what it's about. That's what
But-
this is your interview.
I really saw it as a conversation and offering, and I thought about, well, what can we talk about where we can offer something of value to folks too? That's why I wanted to transition into finding your own value and telling your story, because it's absolutely imperative as a business person in whatever business you're in, and also as an individual in your personal life.
That's so true.
And it also helps when you get in touch with what your value is, just being happy and confident. But I'm comfortable on both sides, equally as comfortable on both sides of the camera.
How about you, Lori?
Am I comfortable being on both sides?
Yes.
Yes, without question.
I
Yes.
can say earlier in my career, I was not comfortable being interviewed at all because I didn't understand who I really was. I was a very late bloomer, ladies, a late bloomer. And, I wish that I could have bloomed or blossomed earlier, but I think we're all on our own paths, and it happens when it happens, and just be happy it does.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Julie, you certainly brought value. So please do not even think, the way that this went today, you killed it.
Right.
It's been so fun meeting you.
Amazing.
And everybody listening and watching, fun to talk with you. Thank you for spending time with us and with me and listening to me tell my stories. I really appreciate it. I really do. It's fun to share with folks, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Definitely is. And that's why I'm just so glad to have this platform and glad that Lori is here, because it does take time, right? It takes time to do these shows and put time aside. And we would love to have you back, Julie, on this show or any one of our other shows. So please.
Dr. Jacalyn, when you're ready to be interviewed about your book, think of me. I would love to talk with you about it. Lori and I could both talk with you about it.
All right. You two are my first interview. What do you think about that?
I love it. You're on, lady. I see your dog there.
Yeah.
He's too big to pick up.
I got to tell you, whenever I do this, he is right here every Friday night.
Oh.
Dr. Jacalyn, I know you're my date on Friday night, but Zink is also part of that date. So
one day, Lori, you have to put a picture up of your dogs, because she just took this picture on her front stoop with her dogs, and it's like out of a magazine. But these dogs look at you just like they're people.
I have that picture, by the way. And you know what? I didn't upload it on here, which I should have, but I will. I'll make a note of that. So, well, ladies, it's time to say good night for now. What's the Carol Burnett of the year? But before we do, one last time, Julie, the best way to reach you.
The best way to reach me is to go to my website, feldmanmedia.com. Or you can reach me at jftv@yahoo.com or julie@feldmanmedia.com. If you go on my website, there's a telephone number, and you feel free to give me a call. I would love to hear from you.
Don't wait. Don't delay. Pick up the phone and call Julie, because she is going to be so busy that you're going to have to wait months to get to meet with her. Okay? So
I always make time for people.
that's right.
Outstanding.
That's right.
Thanks again, Julie, for being here. It's been a
My
pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Julie.
Lori, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
It is to go to my website, which is smartfunnysingle.com, and just fill out the contact us form, or you can email me at Lori, which is LORI @smartfunnysingle.com. I'm also on Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram. And let's not forget Clubhouse, where I am #matchmaker Lori. So
Tell us what you're doing tomorrow on Clubhouse. No, what's today? Sunday.
Tomorrow. On Sunday, my show, or whatever, my room, is Single Over 50. It's an inside job. I've brought on even more experts. We have one topic that we're going to be discussing. And then I'm also going to be co-moderating 2 other shows during the day. So that'll be really, really exciting. And then the following week, which we'll talk about next week, I'm bringing on the sexperts. So that's going to be a killer show. Sex after 50.
You've got to bring some of those sex experts on here.
Pardon me?
You need to bring them on here. We should just have a show with sex experts. How do you say that?
I think that's a great idea. Sexperts. I love that word. Sexperts.
Sexperts. We need to have a show like that. People want to, that's something people really resonate with, right? Resonate with that.
Well, yes, of course, sex is always a draw. And there was a woman in a room that I was in last night that I think everyone who was in that room went and had a cold shower afterwards. It was that saucy.
You didn't ping me. You didn't text me. Come on, think of me.
I should have, Dr. Jacalyn.
I'm in the house with my mom. Come on. All right.
I know, exactly. Oh, God.
Well, my friend, I look forward to seeing you on Sunday in your room in Clubhouse.
Thank you. And thank you for joining last week, Dr. Jacalyn. We'll see you on Sunday.
All right. Thanks. It was
Have a good weekend. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. That was so much fun. Lori is such a sweetheart, and she has such an incredible network. Obviously, we had Julie Feldman here today. And please, again, do not waste any time connecting with her so that you can figure out who it is that you are and what the message is that you want to get out to the world. She will definitely help you with that. We had 4 fabulous shows today. I am so thrilled and thankful to Business Talk Radio and to everyone who's been watching on social media. I want to remind you that I have a Clubhouse room on Sunday, and that is 7 p.m. It's called Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, A Better You. We will be talking about stories, people sharing a little about their bio and what makes them better and how to make other people better. So join us for that. And until then, I'm just thankful that it's Friday night and I'm going to go downstairs and have a nice dinner with my mother. So thank you again for being here. Take care.
Looking for children's books to embrace the imagination, to inspire your kids to be the best they can be and to love themselves? Look no further. Children's author DianeFloydBain.com. You'll find the books right there and on Amazon and local stores.